this is a lash set that I did on my mom last week, and I thought it would be a really good opportunity to walk you through how I assess every single lash set that I do in order to make my sets better the next time. So it could be a fill, could be the next full set, but I like to take these photos and really inspect them to see what's realistic and how I can improve my lashes next time. So in order to do that, I'm just going to use this after photo and we're going to dive through to see how we can improve it. So firstly, I just want to start off by saying that I ran out of time with my mom's lashes, and I'm really lucky that I followed a strategic pattern in order to make sure that if I did run out of time, then the lashes would still look okay. So what I did was I first applied lashes in this manner. First, I applied extensions inner corner, one here, then one here, then one in the middle, and one in between both of those. And I worked eye to eye. So I first placed one on my right eye on the inner corner, then on the left, and then I went through the set in that way. That gave my lashes time to cure in between placements so that I was preventing stickies, but it also helped me create a balanced lash set. So if I finished the set and ran out of time, then they would still look balanced, much like they are right now. So now let's take a look in. So when I check my sets, I'm looking for stickies, I'm looking for glue control, I'm looking for direction, fan symmetry, and coverage. And what's realistic, so how I can improve next time. So first, let's look at this inner corner here. So one thing that I do want to note is that if you can see along here, my mom has very inconsistent layers. See right here, there's no lashes there, there's no lashes here, there's no lashes over here. So I had to utilize the lashes that I had. So I talked to her before and said, look, this lash set is not going to be 100% full because it's not realistic. So in order to get it as full as possible, I had to work with wider fans. As you can see how even though there's not many natural lashes, the fans are wide and they kind of overlap one another. So that gave me an advantage and made the set look more covered than before. Than say I had used classics or closed fans or something like that. Now let's look on the inner corner. So she again has those gaps along the way. So right here, if I looked at this and it was someone else's set and I didn't actually know what base we were starting with, I would say, oh, potentially this lash right here, because it droops down a little bit, is maybe too heavy for the natural lash. But I know that's not the case. And what's actually happening is that these lashes, because there's only a few of them, this one sits a little bit lower simply because a natural lash sits lower on that lash line. So these are the kinds of things that unfortunately we cannot change. These are the kind of things that when we look at them, we're like, okay, I have to give myself a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of flexibility and be not so hard on myself, because some things are realistic and some things are not. If I want coverage, I have to cover those lashes, but a part of it is just that they may sit a little bit lower on that lash line. Now, let's look at overall coverage. So overall coverage, again, we have lots of gaps. Wider fans, definitely the go. My mom wanted some texture, so I utilized some lashes and put some little closed fans in there, but these were all handmade fans. And I'm gonna look at my symmetry. Does it look messy? Is it just covered? I would say most of them are pretty symmetrical along the way. Again, have to be a little bit chill with myself and a little bit understanding because she does have very difficult lashes. But coverage wise, I ran out of time, and you can see here, I need to do more coverage. And how I can make that better is along that bottom lash line, I needed to cover those. So over here, you can see they're covered. The bottom lash line is covered. The bottom lash layer is covered over here. But in the middle, when I was running out of time, I should have done the top and the bottom layer first and then did the middle, but I did not do that. I really should have done that. So next time when I do her lashes, I'm gonna work on the top layer and the bottom layer first, because that's gonna make the lash set look like it is in fact complete. And then I'll do the middle layer, and that will help a lot, because look, looks like there's gaps. And even though she does have gaps, I could have gotten those and not done some on the middle layer, and it would have looked much better, much like out here and much like out here. So that's just things that you want to make notes on. Honestly, you can say you have the Procreate app or something, you can write notes all over your picture here and be like, oh, remember to focus on this, remember to focus on this. Also, when you see little lashes, like see this one right here? Although I was going for a bit of texture, this lash is sitting too high, much too high. I did not want that. I wanted it to be maybe to about here. So that's something to note as well. So in this general area, I now know that either I place this extension too far away from the lash line, because that does make a difference. Consistency along the lash line makes a huge difference. So just watch this for a sec. I'm gonna go into the markup tool. Here's, let's say, the lash line. Now, I have a natural lash that's right here, and I have a natural lash that's right here. Now, I'm gonna choose a different color so I can show you. So let's say that both of these lashes, I'm gonna use the same length extension on. But for this one, I'm gonna place my extension about 1 millimeter from the lash line. Now for this one, I'm gonna inconsistently place it. I'm gonna place it about 2 millimeters from the lash line. This lash is going to look longer than this lash simply because of how it's placed. So if I placed potentially, thank you so much. If I potentially placed this lash right there too far up the natural lash, then that's probably where that came from. Alternatively, I may have placed it wonderfully, but instead she has a lash, much like down here. She has a natural lash that grows out of the skin, higher on the lash line in that spot right there than anywhere else along there, which is probably likely only because of how inconsistent her lashes are placed, or her layers are placed. That's probably what happened, but it's good for me to make a note. So I would put a star here. Is there a staggered, I don't even know if I spelled that right. Is there a staggered layer lash in this area? So by making little notes like this, then I can go back through when I do her set last time and I'm like, oh, right, okay. First I wanna look and see, are there any lashes sitting higher on the layer? Do I have to put a dot with a Sharpie on there or something like that? So that's possible. Next, let's look for stickies. I don't see any stickies, and I always go through my set after. So you would look though, if you notice that there was a lot of stickies throughout, you'd be like, okay, I wanna focus on that. Or maybe the outer corner droops a little bit. You can see that I directed the outer corner up instead of out because I was nervous of that. So that helped lift everything up instead of out. Direction is really important. So for this set, I directed this area out and then the outer corner, whoop, up. And that helped a lot to give that more winged look. So anyways, that is how I assess my sets after every single lash set that I do in order to make it better every single time. And you can also make notes along the way on how you'd like to change the shape, why you think certain curls would look better, certain dimensions, certain fan types, and so on. And that's exactly what I do.